Hello, Blenders, and welcome to episode number 278 of Real Blend, a podcast that is already tired of hearing the phrase frontrunner. On this week's show, I am headed to TIFF, and I will have a quick preview for all of you guys. 3 movies that I'm really looking forward to seeing, and 3 movies that I am severely disappointed that they are not going to be there. We are also... Because for people who don't know, we started this podcast and it was called Awards Blend back in the day.
Everyone take a shot.
We are going to do
That's one of our favorite drinking games. When we mentioned that we used to be an award show, you take a shot. We're
going to do a very early official look at the Oscar race. And we're going to tell you guys what we think should win as of right now. And then we'll also talk about some other titles that are going to drop as the race continues to develop, especially now that the fall film festivals are here. So let me introduce the boys before we get into this week's episode, starting with Jake Hamilton of Fox 32 in Chicago. Hello, Jacob. How are you, sir?
Hey, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. How did your fantasy football team turn out?
We're damn good, man. I got an A+ draft. I've got Jamar Chase. I got Patrick Mahomes. I'm feeling real good. Real good.
Not too bad. My boy Brendan went with Travis Kelce in his first round pick. Yeah, he had 7.
I mean, but it's just as of now, because look, that affects me too. I don't want to get into the weeds, but having Patrick Mahomes, you want Kelce to be healthy. Just hyperextended knee, 1 week.
So Brendan already made a trade offer with somebody.
No.
I was like, what are you doing?
If anything, they'll set him out of the game tomorrow. Which, if you're listening to this, has already passed.
Was yesterday.
I drafted Dan Marino and Troy Aikman. Are those good?
Well, you don't want 2 quarterbacks for starters.
Unless you're in a 2 quarterback league.
Yeah.
Well, what if one gets injured? I also got Drew Brees and Tom Brady.
Oh, you got all 4 of them?
I got Michael Strahan.
Right.
I got some really good players this year.
Are you doing a game show draft?
Yes.
Game show
it's a morning
draft?
show. It's a morning talk show.
Strahan's a good one to get.
Hey, Sean.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you've noticed a certain pep in my step this week.
I haven't, but
you should have, because there's something about just being deemed a Spider-Man expert and making sure that everyone in the world knows.
You prick.
No one knows about Spider-Man more than me.
Yeah.
And if you're not watching...
The over 90 minutes of extras is just Jake talking about his review.
That's the Blu-ray for Spider-Man 2, the Sam Raimi movie, right? That's the best Spider-Man ever.
Well, Jake says the best Spider-Man film ever made is Across the Spider-Verse.
Half a movie.
It kills me that I was at a Target and saw a big display with Jake Hamilton's name.
It kills me that you didn't steal it.
Yeah.
Jake, why didn't you say the best half Spider-Man movie ever made?
All right. Settle down. That's Kevin McCarthy of Fox 5 in Washington, D.C. Hello, Kev. How are you, sir?
Sean, Jacob Gabriel. Also, ironically, considering we're doing the awards part of our show and Sean's talking about TIFF, I've said this before on the show, but if you're just tuning in, go back to YouTube if you want to see the first ever unofficial Real Blend episode where we were at TIFF all together, and I think it was 2014, reviewing Gravity. I also want to know, Sean, when we get to that, about the Ticketmaster fiasco, because that sounded insane to me, just in terms of how they did tickets this year. But I digress. We'll move forward, and we'll get to that in our discussion of TIFF.
We definitely will. A quick hello to Gabe Kovac, who's sitting in the producer's chair, as always. Hello, Gabe. How are you doing, sir?
Hello. I'm good. I'm great.
Good. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you very much for joining us. You got to see Jake's quote on the Spider-Man Blu-ray DVD 4K. Head down, give us a like, a subscribe, hit the comments. Let us know what you think about the episode. We're very happy to interact with you guys over at youtube.com/RealBlendPodcast. It's so annoying. Of course, we're available all the different places you get your podcast needs met. And if you would like to sign up for Real Blend Premium, it gets you an ad-free version of the show. A newsletter this week from me comes every other Friday. So check the description for information on where to sign up. All right. So as Kevin mentioned, I'm the only one going to TIFF this year, which is disappointing because I loved when we all got to go. Some of our best memories are all of us up there doing junket type stuff for TIFF, seeing some crazy films like Joker or Jojo Rabbit, stuff like that. I was looking back through every year around this time, my Facebook memories is always something happening at Toronto.
You know what I'm going to miss? Going to Benihana. There's a Benihana that we used to go to. It's funny because I'm watching The Office for the first time right now. And I literally just watched the Benihana episode. It was like the Christmas episode, part 1, the other night, which is weird because it's TIFF week. And I'm literally watching this episode. And I'm like, man, because there was a Benihana in our hotel that we used to stay at. What was it? What was the name of the hotel? The Royal York?
The Royal York Hotel.
And there was a Benihana right and we used to meet there. Didn't all 4 of us go at one point?
Yeah,
we did. Before one of the shows.
We filled up on Benihana and then we recorded a podcast.
That's right. Was that the same night as
and
our
had
famous
one of the great
video?
laughs of our life.
Yeah,
Is that the same night as the famous video?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Goes on. I don't even think we've divulged that it's a video, actually. I'm not sure. Have we?
No.
There you go.
That will remain unsaid.
Oh, it sounds worse now.
And unexplained. I can't remember why, but for some reason we recorded like 30 minutes of the podcast and then had to start over. And we were all like punch drunk, exhausted.
Yeah, we were tired. We had eaten.
I'm pretty sure I was having and this is not a joke. I was having like a genuine like depression episode when I was up there.
You were going through something. Yeah.
Yeah. So something was going on, and you can keep this in, Gabe. I don't care. But like as I talk about depression and anxiety a lot, but sometimes on the show, and thankfully these guys understand it, I'm in a weird mood or I'm just down. And sometimes it's not even for any particular reason. And I remember I feel bad. I can literally see us still sitting there and having to start over. But the guys were nice enough to give me a second. We reset. It was all good. But 99
out of 100 times we're cool with it. That one time, I think we all wanted to kill you.
Yeah, you did.
It was just so late. It was
rightfully so.
To Kev's credit, though, the show was better for it because you can feel when the energy's off, and then we restarted and was refreshed, and it was a good show.
Looking back on that, I would punch myself in the face if I could just like enter that moment and say, dude, just chill out, man. Come on. It's not that big of a deal.
No, all right.
We just had Benihanas. Come on. Everything's good. It's good. All right. So I want to talk about TIFF because, and I think I've mentioned this on this show before, I feel like TIFF got squeezed for some reason in terms of big titles, big anticipated titles from huge directors who didn't decide to go to Toronto this year, and then ended up going to Venice. And then no one really knows about Telluride until like a day or two before Telluride.
Venice was stacked. Venice was so stacked this year.
It really was. Yeah.
Wow.
So let me start there. Let me start with titles that I'm sad are not at Toronto, because they ended up being at Venice, and you heard buzz about them and reactions to them. And one is the Maestro. Bradley Cooper's Maestro came out of Venice with incredible buzz, and almost all of the critics across the board saying, all right, it's finally time to accept this man as a contending director kind of thing, which is silly to say after Star is Born, but I guess you still hedge your bets a little bit that like, oh, was this just a passion project for him, and did he knock it out of the park with Star is Born? But Maestro, seems to catapult immediately over the extended nose debate, and now it's just become like, this is a great movie that people want to see. So I was really impressed for him coming out of Venice with those reviews.
Star is Born was an astounding achievement. And I don't believe that was lightning in a bottle. This guy has worked with the greatest filmmakers of all time, and he knows what he's doing. But that one in particular, I'm very excited about. Are you mentioning Linklater's movie at all in this discussion?
I wasn't going to, but because that is going to be at Toronto. And I'm hoping to get to it. Yeah.
That's the one I want to ask you about, because out of all the reviews that have come out of these festivals, Hitman, it's called Hitman, right?
Yeah.
And what is it? Like there are 3 Hitman films this year, The Killer, that, and something else. But from what I'm reading on that seems to be the big surprise of Venice. Like, and people are saying Glenn Powell for Best Actor nomination. Right. And I didn't even have that movie on my radar, and I love Richard Linklater. Obviously, Boyhood and all that. And I want Sean to get to his whole TIFF breakdown, but that was the one that I was curious if you were going to see or not. But I'm glad that you might be able to.
So I'll circle back around to that when I get to the ones I'm excited for. Okay. But the 2 others that I'm sad that are not going to be at TIFF are Fincher's The Killer and Michael Mann's Ferrari. And the buzz on both of those was good. Not great. Jake, you were even talking about the fact that like
lukewarm.
The Killer reviews were kind of like, it's a little mainstream for Fincher. It's a little bit simple. Fassbender's great.
I mean, here's what's funny is that the reviews themselves only kind of make me want to see the movie more, because it basically says it's the sort of movie that Fincher can do in his sleep.
Okay.
But you got the director of Seven, you got the writer of Seven teaming up again for a movie about a serial killer. And if it seems easy to Fincher, look, I haven't loved a Fincher movie since Social Network, which so we're now talking about 10 plus years that I haven't loved a film from a director that I love. So if you're talking about him going back, Benjamin Button's like 20 years old, dude.
Oh my! That was after. That was before Social Network.
Benjamin Button was what, like 2000. Benjamin Button was 2008, so 15 years old.
Wow.
So if you're talking about Fincher going back to a style that is familiar to him, but it's a style that I love.
Benjamin Button just doesn't feel like that long ago, Kev, because it got younger as we got closer to it.
It's reversing the
movies. Full circle. We've done it.
I will say though, I'm with both Michael Mann and Fincher's movies were two of the ones that I was most interested in seeing this fall. And to Jake's point, to your point, the reviews did seem a little less spectacular than I expected, which was why I brought up the Linklater thing, because that was the one that kind of seemed more explosive than everybody else's reviews, even more than Fincher and Mann.
Especially because none of us, I don't know about you, I hadn't really heard anything about this movie up till maybe 4 days ago. I didn't really know this movie existed, which is always why, and I know I say this on an episode in which we're doing, Oscar predictions. I always say, whenever we start talking about the big Oscar movies, I always say, don't forget, there are going to be those 3, 4, 5 movies that we don't even know exist. That are going to sort of come out of the woodwork and just be amazing. And it sounds like this is the first one. And guys, don't forget, we haven't seen Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour yet.
Which, by the way, my anchor asked me an interesting question. And this is I'll digress. I'll keep this quick. But someone was asking me if that movie can be nominated for an Oscar. And The Wrap did a really interesting article about how it could possibly be ineligible, because if it's just a series of the show, like just put together, I don't think that counts as a documentary. Now, if they put in like behind the scenes footage and she's taking you behind the doors and showing you how things are made, that becomes a documentary. But I think just a streamlined, and now this is The Wrap, and I believe it was just kind of a think piece about whether or not that film, because right now the box office, people are saying $150 million opening weekend for the Eras Tour movie. I already got tickets. I'm excited for opening night. But it's an interesting question, because if it is just a streamlined show, and I think it was shot in LA over 3 or 4 nights, I don't know that could be eligible.
Hamilton wasn't eligible, right? The Disney Plus,
right? No, because it
never played in the theater though, did it?
But also, I'm sorry, like just because Taylor Swift records her concert, even if she does put behind the scenes stuff that technically makes it a documentary, that doesn't make it like she doesn't get to become an Oscar frontrunner just because she records.
Doesn't matter. But you don't think they want her to be a part of the telecast? Are you kidding me?
I think if that were the case, they would have worked harder to include her short film or her long music video, or whatever it is you want to call it. I think you have a much more realistic case to include her in that way than just a movie that up until 5 days ago we didn't even know existed.
Right.
And I want to get back to Mann and Fincher real quick, but one thing I will say about Taylor Swift, that concert film, I disagree, Jake. I actually think that if it's done well enough and it gives you an immersive, intimate experience, and it does take a documentary style behind the scenes, I have no problem with if it's good. Obviously, if it's good, I want it to be great. But it's funny, considering with Taylor Swift, I still can't believe that movie forced a horror film out of October 13th, Friday the 13th. I mean, for people who don't know, The Exorcist was supposed to open October 13th, which is the greatest day ever for an opening of a horror film. Friday the 13th, why not? And Taylor Swift announces her movie opening the same day. So Jason Blum brilliantly uses a Taylor Swift lyric, "Look What You Made Me Do," and moves it back to October 6th. All right, so enough on Taylor Swift.
No. Let me add real fast. I really do think that movie's going to break
huge,
crazy box office, because I think
almost
her
doubled
fans,
Star Wars pre-sales.
I think her fans are going to want to make us a mark.
Her fans are also going to want to see it as many times as they can.
Yes,
right.
That's what's going to be insane.
With Oppenheimer.
And so I could see them pushing that movie until it I don't know if I'm going to say crosses Barbie, but like I can see them setting a goal and then just keep going back until it does.
Her tour is, adjusting the local economy of the cities that she goes into,
right?
Like the Super Bowl does every city.
I think it's going to be good for the industry. It's great for the industry. And go ahead, Jake. You had another point as well.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a big question that hopefully we can answer in a truncated way. What does the release of this Taylor Swift movie say about the studio system? Because
I saw this article.
Circumvented every major studio, went directly to the theater chain, and they are going to make bank off of this. All the theaters are going to make a bigger chunk of change per ticket because they don't have to give anything to any particular studio. And granted, obviously, this is a special case because Taylor Swift comes with her a certain built-in fan base. But I mean, they just proved that every major, filmmaker right now is sitting there going, do I need to go to Warner Brothers? Do I need to go to Universal? If I can pay for this myself, what's to stop me from going to a theater chain and just making a bigger chunk of change from it?
That's actually, it is an interesting point. And I think it points to a conversation that Sean had with someone from the National Association of Theater Owners, NATO, where you guys were discussing the theatrical model shifting to a point where it's not just relying on Hollywood studio system films. And it's, we're going to show the Olympics and sell tickets to it. We're going to show other sporting events and show tickets to it. We're going to do
video games,
live television, things and show and sell tickets to it. And this very much feels like a Fathom Events type thing, which I think is owned by the theaters, right? Like that's not through, I think, a studio. I think the theater
like Coraline has made like another $10 million because of Fathom Events, because of its release over the past few weeks.
Right. So I think it's a good point. And you do make it, you also, I think, sort of conditioning that with it's Taylor Swift.
Sure.
But I do think it's more of, less of anything to do with the studios and more, hey, there is a lot of opportunity for putting together a place for people to come together and watch something.
Well, it's a little bit, Kevin Smith kind of does it. Kevin Smith has that model.
Yeah, that's a great example. Yeah.
But you know who what would be insane is if Tarantino, for his final movie, just said, I'm going to release it, amongst my own strategy and just clean up. The way that he'd like, what theater chain wouldn't carry it?
It's interesting because, listen, at the end of the day, I don't think any of us on this show are mad about it. This is great for the industry. This is a huge thing, regardless of how it was done. This is bringing people to the theaters. They're going to be spending money at the theaters, like you guys said multiple times. Also, I want to say something about Taylor Swift. She's a cinema person. She loves cinema. She shot her short film on 35. So like she understands the theatrical experience, because she could have gone right to a streamer for this.
True.
Right? Yeah. Sold it for $150, $200 million to like Netflix or whatever. And they would have bought it instantly. Yep. But she knows what she's doing. She's super smart, so talented. I love her.
All right. So of the back to TIFF just for a second, because the three titles that I'm most looking forward to, and Hitman is definitely one of them, but I didn't include it in these three, but I hope to get to Hitman. TIFF is doing this thing where they do this kind of every year, where the Monday and Tuesday after the opening weekend are packed with things that, and it's TIFF's way of kind of like getting back at the films that played other festivals. They stockpile them all. Like 8:30 a.m. on Monday, there's like 4 movies that are like really worthy of seeing. But I managed to snag a ticket to Anatomy of a Fall.
Oh, I'm dying to see that.
That's getting a lot of buzz right now.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's a 3-hour French courtroom thriller where a woman who's a writer is accused of potentially murdering her husband after he falls. And Josh Horowitz, friend of the show, said it's 3 hours, feels like 90 minutes. Said it zips right by. So that's the first movie I'm seeing on Thursday.
Who directed that?
I do not know. French director.
Justine Triet, I believe is how you pronounce it.
Okay.
Wow.
So I'll let you guys know how that is. I have circled a movie called Pool Man that Chris Pine is directing and starring in.
Yes, I heard this was amazing. Can he do press as a director and not an actor if he's in it?
I don't think so. I think it falls under the Bradley Cooper deal. Like Bradley Cooper can't do maestro press. Although as we get closer and closer to these things, more and more people are getting like these excuses. Emma Stone was in Telluride to do press for Poor Things, and she
but
got
is
some
it
flack
because
for doing that.
it because Poor Things is part of a studio that's already agreed to? Like Adam Driver is at Venice because Neon has already agreed to the SAG-AFTRA deal. So they're
did A24?
And A24 has already agreed to the interim deal. So that's which is really why I think that's going to be. I think that's what's going to not solve, but I feel like that's what's going to get us to where we need to be for the actors and the writer strikes. I don't think it's going to be one big blanket, okay, we're there. I think one by one studios are going to start agreeing to the deal, and then the other studios are going to look around and go, well, because keep in mind, AMC Networks agreed to an interim deal, and they have 3 series that are now allowed to resume filming. A24, Neon, their films are able to get out there and do the junket circuit and do the award circuit. And I think other studios are going to look around and go, well, damn, like they're able to get, like, we're being left behind, I think it's going to start being a domino effect. Right now, I think these are the tiny dominoes that are falling over, but tiny dominoes hit a bigger domino, and I think one by one we're going to start seeing the other studios, hopefully the other studios cave.
So Pool Man, let me just tell you really fast. Chris Pine stars as a pool cleaner with OCD who stumbles on a mystery involving the water supply in Los Angeles. And it's quote unquote The Big Lebowski meets Chinatown.
Oh.
So yes,
wow.
yes, please. And then I circled this movie in addition to, like The Holdovers is going to be there. And I've actually heard really good things about that with Paul Giamatti and
Alexander Payne.
Payne back to form. But there's a movie called The Hell of a Summer with Finn Wolfhard and someone named Billy Brick, who are co-directing it, and Finn Wolfhard stars in it. And it's essentially camp counselors who are being stalked by a masked serial killer. And it sounds like fun. So I'm looking forward to that one. And I will soon be able to tell you guys about another ingenious serial killer movie that's going to be coming out this fall.
Oh, your text about that this morning got me so excited.
I'm under embargo for it, so I can't describe it yet. But there's a great slasher film coming that we'll be able to tease. So that's TIFF. I will report back when we are through with it, or pay attention to my socials, and I will let you guys know what I'm seeing as I'm seeing it, and all of my coverage will go to cinemablend.com. Let's get into our. It's too early to talk about the Oscars, and what we're gonna do here is go category by category, talk about the things that we have seen and that we think would win, like what would get our vote right now, fully acknowledging that there's still so many things to come,
and a majority of the things that could likely change our mind are yet to come.
Absolutely. Yes. So we'll start with Best Supporting Actor, and I'll let you guys know that we gave our picks ahead of time. And right now we have in Best Supporting Actor the 2 names that are vying for it. Ryan Gosling for Barbie and Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer. Truthfully, I'd be stunned if either of those 2 was left out of the category at this point. I think those are safe bets. Mine in particular would be Robert Downey Jr. for that one. I just think that he gives such an incredible performance that sort of betrays his movie stardom. He does something I think is really difficult for him to do, which is disappear into a character. His is the arc that is, I'm not going to say the most important, but it's one of the ones that threads the whole movie together, and how his reaction to Oppenheimer is first in a I want to get you involved in this Princeton program, and then to a competitive nature. And it's him getting his comeuppance that I think is one of the most satisfying things of the third act. So it's a complete performance that I would love to see Downey recognized for. Jake, I know you were leaning towards Gosling, though. Do you think comedy is going to cut through?
I think that's good. I mean, you have to keep in mind the supporting category, particularly for comedy, is usually where comedy ends up being rewarded. You look at, Downey got a nomination in supporting actor for Tropic Thunder, and Melissa McCarthy got a supporting actress for Bridesmaids. So I think he's definitely due for a nomination. But I got to be honest with you, the more and more I think about what Gosling did with that role in particular, it's far more than any of us ever expected it to be. It honestly, at this point, might be my favorite performance so far this year. I just thought he was astonishing. But, I got to say, what I love most about the supporting actor category is that it's often a category where we see some old school great actors who haven't been recognized really get their recognition. I'm really excited. I'm hearing a lot about De Niro. Obviously, he's won 2 before, but I'm hearing a lot about De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon. Mm-hmm. But I'm also hearing a lot about, look, I would love to live in a world where Willem Dafoe has an Academy Award. And I'm hearing that his performance in the Yorgos Lanthimos movie, Poor Things, is phenomenal. And that feels like supporting actor and Willem Dafoe, like that feels like the kind of category where I could see Willem Dafoe finally getting his Oscar. And I feel like, you really start ramping up I don't know if you guys remember when Jeff Bridges was making the run for Best Actor for Crazy Heart. Yeah. They specifically put in the trailer 4-time Academy Award nominee, as if to remind people he hasn't won yet. Okay. And I feel like that's what you got to do with Willem Dafoe, is really reinforce, look, we've nominated him a bunch of times. It's time to give this man an Oscar. So I'm hearing both Willem Dafoe and Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things could be a serious contender. And so I think that could maybe be this year's Inisherin, where you get the 2 supporting actor nominees in there. Ruffalo, another actor who, you could make the argument is overdue by now. Sure.
But I've heard it could be a stacked. Poor Things is supposed to be the family event of the year, right? Poor Things.
Weirdly enough, I have heard that it is a fairly accessible movie. So I don't know. I always love the supporting categories, because I feel like that's where the Academy allows himself to get a little nuts and get a little creative. Case in point being Gosling in there for Barbie.
All right, let's transition over to supporting actress, of which we're going to have another Oppenheimer candidate. This time it's Emily Blunt, although I think you could probably also make an argument for Florence Pugh to potentially be in there. And another Barbie actor is showing face with America Ferrera and her incredible monologue. And sometimes that's all it takes. But also a really strong performance throughout the course of Barbie, especially once you realize, spoilers, what her impact is on Margot Robbie's character and the story in general. She becomes way more important to the story than you think off the get-go. A terrific performance. She's also in Dumb Money and is really, really good in Dumb Money as well, too. So I can see her getting a nomination for maybe just the 2 of them going forward. But this is another category that I feel is going to change a lot. And Jake, when you talk about Lily Gladstone, did you say she's going to be in supporting?
Yeah, she'll be in supporting. And I got to be honest, ever since Killers of the Flower Moon hit at Cannes earlier this year, I mean, we're talking about a movie that stars Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro, and Lily Gladstone is the name that I heard the most out of people walking away going, that's her movie. So for a new up and coming actor to steal a Scorsese movie away from DiCaprio and De Niro, I mean, that tells you everything you need to know. So everything I've heard right now says that she is the name to beat. But one name that I don't want us to sleep on, because I have a feeling this movie is going to make a push come into the year, is Viola Davis in Air. Okay. I think that could really be a performance that is one of those, hey, don't forget that you loved this earlier this year kind of performances. And, that was, I think that was, however it is you feel about that movie, that Damon was sort of the universally agreed. Damon, but Viola Davis, I think, was universally the agreed upon, like, she is arguably the best part of Air. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's her movie. That movie centers around her decision and her. Yeah, she's the glue of that film.
So in addition to, if Emily Blunt gets nominated, I wouldn't be surprised if she got nominated. Do you think, Kev, as the Oppenheimer expert, could Blunt and Florence Pugh both get in?
I don't think Pugh gets in. And I think, and listen, I love Florence Pugh in the film. It's a very small role. And I know we've seen smaller roles get nominated. Sure. Was it American Gangster? Who is the actress who was nominated? She was in the movie for like a couple minutes. Or was Ruby it Judi Yeah, and then Judi Dench had a small role that she got nominated for.
Yeah, Shakespeare.
But usually the small roles are the big punch. But I feel like Pugh doesn't have like a big punch scene.
It's blunt. Yeah,
though. It's like William Hurt in The History of Violence, where like you have like that one scene.
Yes,
but like, oh my God, they were amazing in that one scene.
Or Judd from
Judd Hirsch,
Fabelmans.
Yeah,
Judd
Hirsch. Right.
He didn't get nominated, I don't believe.
Yeah, he did. He got nominated.
Oh, he did. I'm sorry, he did get nominated.
That's going to end up becoming one of the most competitive categories because
usually is.
of Lily Gladstone, who we discussed, I'm hearing a ton about Divine Joy Randolph, who is in The Holdovers, who is apparently terrific in that. And I think The Color Purple is going to come in like a bat out of hell.
Oh, yeah.
And I think The Color Purple is going to have Danielle Brooks and Taraji P. Henson, and maybe Holly Bailey. And there's just going to be some incredible performances.
Halle Bailey. Just
Holly Bailey.
Halle.
You got it. They are going to, if that movie hits the way that it could potentially hit, I mean, I think that movie is going to be a force to be reckoned with. So
how have you been pronouncing Halle Berry for the last 30 years? That's my question.
Halle Berry.
Halle Berry. It's the same name.
Halle Berry.
Nope.
Halle Berry.
Halle.
Yeah.
Like Hal from 2001.
Right.
With Y at the end of it.
You say so.
Okay.
I'll take
people are also saying Rosamund Pike for Saltburn.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Which
interesting.
That's Emerald Fennell's film.
Emerald Fennell's.
And that's a performance I'm hearing in a different way, but almost like Gosling, where it's going to have to prove that the Academy has a sense of humor if they nominate that. And which is the sort of thing that happens in the supporting categories.
And I'm also hearing Jodie Comer for The Bike Riders. And I know she's in Napoleon also, but I think her performance in The Bike Riders would qualify as a supporting actor.
Did you guys watch that trailer? Did you watch that trailer today?
No. Did it drop?
Yeah, it dropped. Yeah. Looks like Goodfellas on a bike.
Oh, okay.
And, which is not a bad thing. It just looks like Goodfellas on a bike.
So I'll take that.
It's a great pitch meeting.
Shameless plug. Listen to our Emerald Fennell interview for Power of the Young Woman that we did a couple years back. So
she was terrific.
Find that. Yeah.
All right. Before we get to the bigger categories, let's throw it to a really quick break. We'll be back on the other side with actor, actress, director, and picture. Okay, we're back, and we are going to go right into Best Actor, of which we unanimously believe that Cillian Murphy is going to get nominated for. Oppenheimer seems like the front runner at the moment, but again, a ton of amazing performances still to come. And I will rattle off Joaquin Phoenix in Napoleon. I will rattle off Adam Driver in Ferrari, who got a lot of attention. We're going to have Leonardo DiCaprio in Killers of the Flower Moon. I don't think Fassbender is going to get in. It doesn't sound like it at this point. But I want to bring up a controversial one. And I want you guys to tell me what you think about Jonathan Majors in a movie called Magazine Dreams, which came out of Sundance with a ton of buzz. And obviously that was before Jonathan Majors went through a series of really difficult stories. Things have been very quiet on that story, and I don't really know what's happening.
He just got a new court date today.
Did he really? Okay.
Yes.
Do you think that movie gets released?
I think the studio is likely going to wait until everything kind of gets settled or resolved one way or another.
So a chance they bury it.
I don't know about bury it. I think they want to wait and, sort of see what happens one way or another. There's a lot of reasons why, because SAG's striking right now as well, but like he can't play the game. Yeah. And if they think that on the other side of this trial that everything's going to be fine and his reputation will be put back together, then what's the harm in holding it a year? If they really look at this performance and think this could win an Academy Award, he can't promote it because of the strike. But even if he could, he can't make the rounds without every single person bringing up probably things he doesn't want to talk about right now. So I don't even think we see that film this year. And
I want to base it solely on what I'm hearing about his performance.
Of course.
And they are comparing it to Taxi Driver in the world of bodybuilding, essentially, like that he's a Travis Bickle type character, and that across the board the recognition for his performance seemed to be off the charts. They moved it from Sundance to December to put it right in the heart of awards contention, and so I had actually forgotten all about that title until I was looking ahead doing some research for this segment, and then I was like, oh my god, that's right, Jonathan Majors is in that performance, and I wonder what's going to happen with that. Of all those ones I mentioned, I'm going to bring up Giamatti because when I watched the trailer for The Holdovers, I felt like this feels like lesser Alexander Payne. Like it felt a little predictable. It felt like a trailer that was showing me everything that's happening. You know, I feel like I saw it all. But I have to be reminded that this is the guy who made Election, and this is the guy who made Sideways. And the reviews out of Venice seem to say that, like, the more you start to learn about these three main characters, the more you get extremely invested in their journey. I think Giamatti's a tremendous actor, and so I'm starting to feel like
the role. I know he's working. I know he's been on Billions for like a decade now.
Right.
But I feel like in the early 2000s, Giamatti looked like to be our next great actor. Not saying he's not, but I feel like the past 10 years, he hasn't been given the roles that he deserves. I feel like he's better than the work he's been given over the last 10 years.
Have y'all seen Private Parts?
that's a long
stretch. Can I throw another name out there that I'm hearing?
Yeah.
I'm hearing Coleman Domingo a lot for
Rustin,
which is a story of a person who was deeply involved with the civil rights movement, whose story we really haven't heard much about.
He put together the March on Washington, I believe.
Yeah,
1963.
Coleman Domingo, I think, is one of those actors that people who are in the industry and people who follow this world as closely as we do have been championing his work for years now. And I think this could be the role that sort of puts him on the map and finally allows him to sort of break through. I mean, if you've seen his work, whether it be Euphoria or any of his,
Selma,
Zora or Zola, he was phenomenal.
Oh, wow.
When he makes that turn,
so good
when he makes that turn in
movie.
Zola.
That scene in Zola when he turns around in the car and just completely changes, so terrifying.
So I want to bring up the Coleman Domingo has this movie called Rustin that everybody's talking about, right? Mm-hmm. But there's another film that he's in Toronto that sounds incredibly intriguing. It's called Sing Sing. Have you guys heard about this at all?
Mm-mm.
It's set in Sing Sing prison, but it's a theatrical program that casts incarcerated prisoners in a musical. And he's like the lead in it, kind of thing. And it's about how these prisoners are using the play to escape their, the horrors of their day-to-day kind of thing. And I just think putting him in that role sounds really fascinating to me. And I don't know why maybe just because people haven't seen it yet, but right now that's not getting the type of buzz that Rustin is getting. And I wouldn't be surprised if he comes out of the festival season with two titles that people are really excited to see him in. So
I want to throw out Teo Yu real quick, because if people who haven't seen Past Lives, like, he's absolutely brilliant in this film. And I know that we're going to touch on this when we get to actress with Greta Lee, but I just want to, throw his name out there because I think it's one of the best performances of the year. It's one of the best films of the year. It's my number 2 of the year. But that one in particular, Teo Yu, I want to bring him up. And then The Color Purple, we got to mention as well.
Coleman Domingo's in Color Purple also?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so is Corey Hawkins. And
yes.
I think Corey Hawkins is one of our great actors right now. Obviously, straight out of Compton, he was Dr. Dre recently in The Last Voyage of the Demeter. But he's from DC, went to Duke Ellington here in the area. He's a really talented actor. That film's going to be huge, obviously. We'll probably discuss Fantasia when we get into our actress category as well. But
does Damon get in for Air?
I mean, listen, for actor, yeah.
For actor.
I don't know. I mean, and also don't forget, stacked. I feel like a name, and forgive me if we've said it already, like, in terms of the actors vying for
Leo.
I was going to say Bradley Cooper.
Oh yeah, jeez, right.
Like, okay. I mean, what is the dude's been nominated 8 or 9 times? Like, there are a few actors right now who could make the argument, and that could be the Academy loves. Whenever a dude could be nominated multiple times, sort of going like, okay, here's the award we're going to give you tonight. Like, famously, when George Clooney won supporting actor, whenever he accepted, the first thing he said was, well, I guess I'm not winning director later. The best actor could be the award that they give him.
Mm-hmm. The Damon thing is interesting, though. Do you think he would want to campaign against Cillian?
No, I think Damon has a better shot at supporting for Oppenheimer than he does with Air. I think Oppenheimer has a lot more light on it in terms of like people like I think people are talking more about Damon in that role than they are in Air. I mean, in terms of box office, obviously, but listen, I think.
I mean, do you think that, like, if you're let's say hypothetically you're Damon and you get nominated for Air, you have to know you're not going to win. Like, is it just sort of a like, look, I'm going to show up. I'm going to have a great time at the party. I'm going to get a little tipsy. I don't have to worry about making a speech.
Has he been nominated?
Oh yeah, many times. He was nominated.
He won for Good Will Hunting.
Yeah, he won for writing Good Will Hunting, but he was nominated.
No. Acting.
Yeah, for The Martian. He was nominated for Best Actor for The Martian.
He was, yeah.
I know him and Affleck won writing for Good Will Hunting.
And then he was nominated for supporting actor for wait, did he get a supporting actor nomination for Good Will Hunting? Was he up against Robin Williams?
Wouldn't he be a lead?
He's not lead?
So.
No.
Oh, maybe he got lead. That's it. He got lead actor.
Okay. You know what he would say once they stood up and started cheering for Cillian Murphy?
Applesauce?
Like Denzel, he'd say, I'm going to go get the coats.
I'm going to go get the coats. That's seriously one of my favorite stories ever.
That's great.
I'm leaving here with something.
Yeah.
There's another name I want to throw out in the acting category before we move on. And again, I don't know anything about this. I'm just reading this right now. So Anthony Hopkins in Freud's Last Session. They're saying Gold Derby's saying that's a leading contender. I don't know anything about that film. I'm not sure if it's going to be
never count out Hopkins.
But
Hopkins also has a movie in Toronto called One Life, where he is it takes place during World War II, and he is somebody who saves a number of Jewish children during an attack.
Don't you think it's amazing? Like, while we're talking about Hopkins never really had that like embarrassing period of his career, that De Niro doing some silly raunchy grandpa movies, or like Pacino doing these really bad like Hopkins never really had. Well, not even necessarily Jack and Jill, because I actually think that whole Dunkin' Donuts scene is brilliant, because people take that scene out of context and ruin it. But like Hopkins never really had that role where you're like, oh, I can't believe Hopkins did that. Like, am I missing something?
No.
I mean, he went back to the well with Hannibal a few times, but I think all three of his Hannibal films are good.
He did Transformers 5 or something like that, and that was bad. And then he also did.
He was in the Red movies. He was in Red and Red 2, I think.
But yeah, he was having fun with, and I guess he was just never bad. Even in the Transformers movie, he was never bad. I guess like Hopkins not trying is still better than most actors trying.
He'll tell you he wasn't trying in the Thor movies, I guess.
I liked him in Thor.
He's really good.
I like him in Thor also, yeah.
Underrated Hopkins film, Fracture.
Oh, yeah.
Terrific.
With Ryan Gosling.
Oh, good.
It's terrific. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah. All right, let's go to actors, because this is going to be another incredibly stacked category. I want to mention the two off the bat I want to give you guys a chance to talk about. Greta Lee for Past Lives, and then I want to talk about Teyana Taylor before we move on to performances that we haven't seen yet. So tell us about Past Lives and tell us about the performances in that one.
Yeah, I'll be quick. Yeah. Go ahead, Jake.
Well, like I said, Greta Lee is who I would vote for right now for Best Actress. Yeah. Past Lives is a stone cold masterpiece of a film. Really probably a solid lock to make my top 5 of this year. Nothing. There are a few more affecting performances. Unfortunately, I really worry that Greta Lee is going to get pushed out. I think it's just one of those movies that it's really going to take people putting the DVD in the player or press and play on the screener. It's one of those movies that everyone loves when they see it. But I worry that it's going to get lost in the mix of all the screeners that are going to start flooding out our way soon. I think that the best thing it could do is maybe be, how there's always like that first screener out the gate that we all get. Mm-hmm. I think if the studio is smart, as at A24, they'll go ahead and just start pushing it out. But I really worry that Greta Lee could be like everyone's like 5th, 6th choice, and I just worry that she's going to get lost. So if you haven't seen Past Lives and you are in any way a voting member of anybody, please go see Past Lives and rent it or buy it or do whatever you got to do to watch it, and please vote for Greta Lee, because she's phenomenal. Yeah,
and this is a show that I think we do this show because we want to highlight maybe performances or movies that maybe fly under the radar, because I think Past Lives made like 10 million at the box office, and then it went to VOD, and I think I'm pretty sure it's doing decent numbers, but it's a performance of a lifetime. Like, it's genuinely one of the best films I've ever seen. And it's a first-time filmmaker, and I think Greta's performance is genius. And it's just the way she captures it. It's really what's not said is what's really so powerful about the film, and her facial expression. So just the look on her face, like during these emotional scenes, is incredible. So that's definitely the person that I would vote for at the moment. But obviously we have a lot of other performances people were talking about. I think one of the big ones right now is Emma Stone out of for Poor Things, and that's obviously she's reconnecting with Yorgos after they did The Favorite, and so. So Emma has what? She has La La Land.
She just won Oscar.
She has one.
But she was nominated twice, right? Yeah. Am I wrong on that? Okay.
She was nominated for
The
Favorite and The Favorite.
Birdman, right? Did she get nominated for Birdman?
Yeah, she did.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
So I wanted to bring this up to you guys because I'm on Variety's website. They have Margot Robbie listed in top 5.
I think Margot gets in actress. I think Margot gets in for actress for Barbie.
Do you think? So what's interesting about this is don't you feel like? And again, so I love Margot Robbie, obviously, and I love her in Barbie. She's amazing. Obviously, I think Babylon was the one that I really, really wish people took a little more seriously because her performance is amazing.
That's a movie that people are going to discover in the coming years.
And shameless plug, listen to our Damien Chazelle interview for Babylon because he was great. But I do find, though, that everyone leaves Barbie not really talking about Margot. Everyone talks about Ryan, America, the songs.
Greta.
And Greta. And I think maybe because, and again, this goes back to our underrated argument, maybe Margot's just, she's so good in the film, we just take her for granted. And I think there are so many scenes where she is amazing in, which is why I was happy to see her on this list that Variety had, because I was like, oh yeah, I didn't even think about Barbie herself. Why are we talking about
she's
Margot
the lead
Robbie?
Character, but she's the glue holding a lot of stuff together in that movie.
But she's not being talked about enough as the actor in that film. I feel like people, it's been so heavy on Gosling and America, which is totally fine. I just found it fascinating that the leading character, the leading title character, the star of the movie hasn't been pushed a lot in terms of like her performance. She's outstanding in that film. I mean, again, going back to Babylon.
I think she gets in.
Yeah, and also would she be a double nominee? Would she be one of the producer nominees on if it was nominated for Best Picture?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
She would be producer. She'd be actress. Yep. Yeah. And then obviously Greta will get script. Have you guys read about whether or not Barbie may switch to original screenplay? Because right now it's adapted. Technically, because it's IP, I guess. It should be original. Which is weird. It should be original. It's definitely an original screenplay, but for some reason, I believe it's being considered adapted. But I think Warner Brothers is trying to flip that. I could be wrong. I just remember when that movie first came out, everyone was like, "Oh yeah, it's going to be an adapted screenplay," because Nolan's screenplay is adapted, obviously Oppenheimer.
It's a book. Yeah.
If you put, but I'm curious if I'm Warner Brothers and I'm Greta and I'm the Academy. That's an original screenplay. Barbie's not like 100%. It's based on the concept of Barbie, but it's written. It's a completely original screenplay.
I'm hearing Carey Mulligan could be the performance
exactly
to be.
Who I was just going to say is Carey Mulligan. Sounds like she is coming out of.
And again,
Maestro.
that's another actress who you could really make this solid argument like should have won by now.
And let me also throw out. I've only just now heard about this May-December movie.
Yeah,
it's Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore in a Todd Field movie.
Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, that's what I'm saying. Like in September, there are so many things. Like not even just movies we haven't seen. There are so many movies we haven't even heard of yet. I'm hearing that there's a movie coming out with Jodie Foster where she's rumored to get her 5th career nomination. Like.
Well, you know what's interesting too? Like we're getting these instances where who was the guy who directed Mads Mikkelsen in that movie and he got into the director race?
Yes. That was so strange. I remember that.
Sometimes these movies catch on and you're like it's Force Majeure. The original one, not the Will Ferrell one that they made with Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Like that got into the conversation as well too. And so some of these ones are breaking through, which I think is really terrific.
I think actress and director are the two categories that are going to frustrate us the most because of who wasn't able to make the list, where there were just too many great contenders and not enough slots.
Let's go to director then, because we all unanimously believe that Nolan is going to get in. I think that's a no-brainer. I actually do think that. I think this is the year
he's going to win.
Yeah, I think it's his year.
Yeah,
because the other contenders that feel like they're going to be coming up after him are Scorsese's and maybe Ridley,
Yorgos Lanthimos.
Yorgos probably. I
don't think Ridley gets in. I don't feel like the Academy has an affinity for Ridley in the way that we do, or in the way that film fan. I mean, keep in mind they gave Gladiator Best Picture but denied him Best Director. Like I don't think that they are as enamored, and they didn't give him even a director nomination for The Martian. They are, he had two big movies. What was it? 2 years ago,
House of Gucci,
Last Duel and House of Gucci, and neither of them made a splash.
Okay, so let's do the 5. Okay,
Greta.
I was going to say Greta.
Yeah, I think Greta gets in.
So Nolan gets in. We said Scorsese.
Scorsese.
Greta. I think Bradley Cooper.
What about Yorgos?
Yorgos.
That's your 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
5.
So Alexander Payne.
Michael Mann.
Michael. Okay. I don't think Mann gets in. Ferrari didn't burst out of Venice like it needed to. So I don't think Mann gets in. Celine Song needs to be acknowledged and recognized.
This director of Anatomy of a Fall. This director for Anatomy of a Fall.
Again, that's what I'm saying. And again, and now we haven't even talked about these movies that like we don't even know what they're gonna be.
What's the zone of interest? I'm
Jonathan Glazer.
I'm using Variety here. Their 5 are Nolan, Scorsese, Yorgos, Greta, and Jonathan Glazer. I don't know the zone of interest. This is an A24 film, and I think what's interesting about this, and I think about A24 because A24 won Best Picture last year, right, with Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
What you usually find a film and then you use that as your Oscar film to promote, and I think Past Lives. I would love to see that get a push, but I don't know anything about the zone of interest, but
it sounds really it sounds difficult. It sounds like it takes place at the end of World War II and Nazis continue to live in the camps.
Do we know Jonathan Glazer? Do we know
Jonathan Glazer did Under Her Skin with
Under the Skin with Scarlett Johansson. That's a great movie. I didn't know he did. Okay,
he did another big one right before that. He's one of these directors that like he does a film every 4 or 5 years.
Sexy
so when
Beast.
he does one, you kind of sit up and pay attention. And this one's been playing. It played in Venice and it got really good reviews. But so again, the director category seems pretty stacked.
There are going to be a lot of great directorial efforts that don't end up. I mean, I could see Bradley Cooper going the way of like Ben Affleck for Argo and not getting nominated.
Is it win picture because of that? I mean, is there anybody out there who disagrees that Argo won Best Picture because Affleck didn't get nominated?
Yes, I think that's totally the reason why.
Exactly what happened. But and again, I love Argo. It's great.
But okay, you have to keep in mind the Critics' Choice Awards. Critics' Choice Awards happened like 2 days after the day of, and we gave him Best Picture. So I get what you're saying. It definitely helped his case, but Argo was already the front runner whenever that happened, and then that helped the narrative. Didn't he say like I'd like to thank the Academy or something like that? Yeah. But like it's not like no one was talking about Argo and then all of a sudden it was given Best Picture. Like it was already winning, and then that narrative helped bring it over the finish line.
Okay, so let me ask a quick question to you guys. Just quick answer: does Barbie beat Oppenheimer for picture?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. Does Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse get a Best Picture nomination?
Yes.
If there's 10, yes.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. I really don't know that film does not feel like it's being talked about enough in terms of Oscars.
Push it
hard. But you have to keep in mind it's September. They have to let it die down a little bit because we always talk about.
No, they're going to push for animated. Yeah. They're going to push for animated.
Well, but Pixar movies get nominated for both all the time.
Elemental's going to get a push. Elemental did much better than people expected it to do.
I mean, if
that
we're
makes
talking
me really
about
happy.
Let's think of 10. There's 10 movies, right? So based on what we know right now, Oppenheimer, Barbie, Maestro,
Killers of the Flower Moon,
probably Poor Things, Killers,
Alexander Payne's film,
Holdovers.
That feels like it's in.
Hopefully, Past Lives.
I think Spider-Man.
Okay. Yeah,
but I don't think Napoleon. I don't think.
Yeah, I honestly don't see.
I don't think
Napoleon making. I don't think the Killer. Yeah, Color Purple. I don't think the Killer gets in. The Killer doesn't seem like it's making the splash. Right. I mean, even you have to keep in mind it's always so dangerous. Like if I'm a studio, I wouldn't put a movie out in Venice or Toronto, because not only do you have to come out with a freaking bang, you've got to maintain that momentum.
Yeah,
like you've got to keep going all the way through February.
After Toronto last year, Fabelmans was sweeping everything.
I mean, it was it exactly, and then but it couldn't. But you know, like if I feel like every year the whole festival system just proves to me, like, if I'm a studio, I don't put it in the festival. I either release it in the summer and let it make money, or I wait until November and December and just put it out the way I want to put it out.
Interesting.
I mean, Oppenheimer came out dead summer, and then
when was the last example of a film festival really doing anyone any favors?
TIFF used to be. I would argue TIFF used to be one of the greatest indicators.
It was a great place to launch like a Silver Linings Playbook.
Yeah. The last time I remember a movie going to TIFF and maintaining the momentum was Slumdog Millionaire.
Or Stars.
Yeah.
Stars Born.
Was
but it didn't win.
But it still had a huge huge run.
And also with The Star is Born, that was close enough to, because the movie came out in early October. That if anything, that was just a good excuse to sort of start the promotional campaign early. But for these movies that are premiering in Toronto, or like Ferrari doesn't hit theaters till Christmas Day. So you put it out there in Venice, you make this huge big splash. It doesn't really do anything. So you've got to it's almost like the whole Indiana Jones premiering at Cannes. You've got middling reactions for the next 3 months that you've got to sort of overcome, as opposed to if you had just allowed it to gain buzz and because people want to see it.
You know what we're forgetting? Sofia Coppola's new movie.
Oh, yes.
Priscilla. Yeah.
And again, from what I've heard, it sounds incredible. I mean,
yes.
I saw someone say it was the best movie she's made since Lost in Translation.
Oh my God.
And what I'm also really fascinated by is that they don't use any Elvis music in the whole film. They couldn't get the rights. What's the term? Anachronistic? Is that the terminology that you use for like music that's like written around the real music? I don't know the exact term for it, but it sounds fascinating to me. But yeah, I mean, we can't count Sofia Coppola out.
Yeah.
Guys, I think we're forgetting, like, we're sleeping on one of the biggest Oscar contenders of the year. Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom.
Sleeper. Shark in the water, that guy.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
And I'm excited to see what original song Pitbull gives us.
Oh, he's going to win. If he submits, he wins. Yeah.
All right.
Commit to the pit.
It's up to you guys now. What is your best picture frontrunner so far this year? Let's make things challenging and take Oppenheimer out of the race. You can put Oppenheimer if you want to, but if you put Oppenheimer in the comments down below, you have to give me another one as well too, because Oppenheimer seems like the easy answer.
Don't listen to Sean. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. You're your own individual person.
All right, fair enough. Yes, you don't have to listen to anything I do.
Wasn't that the point of Barbie?
Go to the YouTube channel, hit subscribe, like I mentioned, turn on your notifications, and then hit the comments down below and let us know your best picture frontrunner so far this year. We will be back next week with I believe, a roundup of the things that I got to see in Toronto. And a look ahead to things that are coming in September. In the meantime, follow us on social media at Jake's Takes, at Kevin McCarthy TV, at Sean_O'Connell, at Gabe Kovac, and the show is at Real Blend. We'll be back next week. And until then, pay your artists. Please.
Pay your artists.
God.
And the man who moved the earth.